Hello all. Today in this video we will be discussing about memory as a process, its types and its role in learning, as well as we will discuss some methods to improve memory. Now as students we have all had moments where we have studied very hard but still forgot answers in the exam hall. On the other hand, some lessons stay in our mind for years without much effort. Now why does this happen? Why do we remember some things and forget others? This shows how powerful and mysterious our memory is. But what exactly is memory and how does it work? Let us understand this through today's topic. Memory is one of the most important cognitive functions. It supports learning, thinking, reasoning, and behavior. It plays an important role in academic learning and skill development. And in psychology, memory is studied as a mental process. First, let us look into the definition of memory. Memory refers to the mental ability to retain and recall past experiences, information, and skills. So, in short, memory is our mind's ability to learn, store, and recall information whenever needed. It defines who a person is, what a person knows, understands, and can do. Let us look at some other definitions by famous psychologists. Atkinson and Shiffrin defined memory as the process by which information is encoded, stored, and retrieved. Hilgard defined memories is the ability to store, retrieve information acquired through learning. And according to Mann, memory is the retention of learned material over time. Next, let us take a look at the nature of memory. Now, memory is an active mental process, which means that our brain is always working on receiving, storing, and recalling information. It is also essential for learning and adaptation because we use memory to understand new things and adjust to different situations in life. Memory is also influenced by factors like attention, emotions, motivation, and practice. For example, we tend to remember things better when we are interested or emotionally connected to that particular topic. And also, memory is not a single unit, it is a system made up of different types and processes that work together. For example, remembering a story and riding a bicycle use different types of memories. Next, let us look into the process of memory. Now, memory works through three main steps: encoding, storage, and retrieval. Let us understand each one of them in detail. The first step is encoding, which means taking in information into the brain. So, encoding means converting information into a form that brain can store. It can be visual, auditory, or meaning based. And this happens when we understand something. For example, when we understand something in class, encoding is happening. Next step is storage. Storage means keeping information in brain for some time or longer period of time, depending on revision and practice. When we revise something again and again, storage becomes stronger. For example, studying regularly helps store content more efficiently for exams. And the third step is retrieval. Retrieval refers to how we recall information when required. For example, recalling answers while writing an exam. So, in a way, we can say that memory works like a school bag. We put books in, which refers to encoding, keep it safe, which refers to storage, and take it out whenever needed, which refers to retrieval. Now, let us move on to types of memory. So, memory is classified into different types based on duration, function, and awareness. There are three main types of memory based on duration, namely sensory, short term memory, and long term memory. Now, let us look into each one of them in detail. The first type is sensory memory. This type of memory stores information received through sensory organs like eyes or ears for a very short period of time. This is the original form of sensory information that is very briefly retained for seconds or milliseconds. And this includes iconic and echoic memory, which refers to visual and auditory memory. For example, seeing a flash of light after it disappears will come under sensory memory. Next type is short term memory. This is a type of memory that holds information for a short period of time, and it usually lasts for about 15 to 30 seconds and has a limited capacity. which means that we can only hold a small amount of information at once, up to 7 units. So, if this information is not repeated or rehearsed, it's quickly forgotten. For example, remembering a phone number until you dial it. This type of memory is also known as working memory because we use it while thinking, solving problems, or understanding something. And this acts as a bridge between sensory memory and long term memory. Because if we practice or understand the information, a particular piece of information moves into long term memory. The third type of memory is long term memory, and it is the type of memory that stores information for a long period of time, sometimes even for a lifetime. It has a very large capacity, and the information stored is relatively permanent compared to short term memory. Information enters long term memory through practice, understanding, and meaningful learning. The more we revise or emotionally connect with something, the stronger it stays in memory. Long term memory helps us store knowledge, language, skills, experiences, and concepts. For example, remembering your childhood memories or remembering your mother tongue. Next, let us look at the type of memories based on its function and awareness. So, there are two main types of memories based on function and awareness. They are implicit or non declarative memory and explicit or declarative memory. First, let us look at explicit or declarative memory. This is a type of memory that involves conscious recall of information. That is, we knowingly remember things. And there are two types of explicit memories, namely semantic and episodic memory. Semantic memory is related to facts and knowledges, for example, remembering capitals, mathematical formulas, etc. Whereas episodic memory is also referred to as autobiographical memory because it is related to personal experiences and associated with emotions. For example, first day of college, first time driving a car, etc., are stored in our episodic memory. The second type is implicit or non declarative memory. This type of memory does not require conscious awareness. That is, we don't think about it, but we still remember these things. There are two types of implicit memory. First is procedural memory, which is also known as muscle memory because this is associated with skills and habits like performing actions without conscious awareness. For example, cycling, swimming, writing are few activities that we can do by ourselves once we learn them. Second type is emotional memory. This is related to learned emotional responses. For example, fear associated with past experiences, etc., come under emotional memory. We all know that there are many factors that influence or affect our memory. Let us look into those factors in detail. First is attention and concentration. Memory becomes stronger when we are focused. If our attention is low, we may not remember things properly. For example, students remember lessons better when they listen carefully in class. Next factor is interest and motivation. We tend to remember things more easily when we are interested or motivated to learn. For example, a student who loves science remembers scientific experiments better than someone who does not love science. Next factor is emotional state. Emotions play an important role in memory. Positive emotions help improve memory, whereas stress or fear can reduce it. Next factor is practice and repetition. Repeated learning helps strengthen memory and helps in long term retention of information that we are trying to learn. For example, revising notes regularly can help improve exam performance. Last factor is health, nutrition, and sleep. A healthy body supports a healthy brain. So, proper sleep and nutrition are very important in improving memory and concentration. For example, students who sleep well can remember better than those who are tired. Next, let us discuss the role of memory in learning. So, memory plays a very important role in learning because it helps us retain what we learn and use it later. It also helps us understand and apply knowledge and not just remember facts. Memory also supports problem solving and helps in transfer of learning, meaning we use old knowledge in new situations as well. Overall, a strong memory leads to better academic performance. Next, let us look into certain methods that can help improve memory. First is concentration and attention. These two factors are very important because when we focus properly, we tend to remember things better. Second is understanding the content. Understanding the content is better than rote learning because if we understand a topic, we can recall it easily, which leads to efficient storage in terms of memory. Third is regular revision. Regular revision helps us remember things for a longer period of time. Repeating what we learn makes our memory stronger. Fourth is mnemonic techniques like acronyms, rhymes, mind maps. These are some techniques that helps us remember information quickly. And finally, healthy habits and proper sleep. These two are very important factors as a healthy body and good sleep helps improve brain power and memory. Effective teaching depends on understanding how memory works. So, as future educators, we should focus on meaningful learning instead of rote memorization because students remember better when they understand the content. We must try using teaching aids like charts, models, and videos to improve retention and make learning more interesting for students. Regular revision is important because repetition strengthens memory and reduces forgetting. And teachers must also link new knowledge with previous knowledge as this will help students recall information easily. And finally, teachers must consider individual differences because every student has a different memory ability and learning style. So, in this video, we talked about different types of memory, its role in learning, and how we can improve our memory. And as future educators, our role is to teach in a way that students remember and make learning stay for life. That's all for today's video. Thank you.